Yeah, I'm getting that barf bag ready. I'm not joking. Yeah.
Choose.
We are
Choose.
going
Choose.
to die. Wow.
Get us back on course there.
Yeah, let's get back on course. I hear beeps. Ugh. Yeah, I'm getting that barf bag ready. I'm not joking. Yeah.
Already?
Woo! I told you. How does this thing work?
That
This
way.
way.
Yes, that way.
Oh, that was fun. But that was sickening. How do you do that? How does your body handle that? I guess you've done it enough? Or you're just a
I've done it a few times.
crazy, horrible
Yeah,
person?
I'm just a horrible freak, I guess. I don't know. Whew. Well, that was a warm-up.
No. Don't say that.
We'll let you settle out a little bit. How
Yeah,
about
please do. I'm not taking my hands off my straps here.
that?
Wow.
All right.
Autopilot.
Autopilot back on. My favorite.
Yeah, you like that?
I love Autopilot.
Good.
He never does that to me.
Yeah. She
She
you
never
can't-
does that to
Yeah,
me.
she doesn't. She's very
I can
nice.
trust Autopilot.
Right. She will yell at you if you get too close to the ground.
Well, that's
She's
probably
nice
a
like
good
that.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's looking out for us.
Warnings, just like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, she's nice. She's sweet at first. She says, empathy. Like, I know you're concentrating, you're flying, you're doing a good job. But
Yeah.
if you start getting into danger,
Yeah.
she raises her voice a little bit, and
That's
she
good.
says, warning, there's danger ahead. And that's
Yeah.
what you're saying is that we should do the same things as cybersecurity professionals that love and care for our clients.
Yeah, because you know what's funny about life? Like, you ever been driving your car and all of a sudden you like realize like I haven't even been paying attention. Like the back of my brain, the cortex or whatever, tells me when to stop at the red light, when to go, and when to turn. And like you realize I've been so deep in thought over something I didn't even realize I was driving. That's why cars need like technology to help us drive and steer and recorrect, because humans are a bunch of idiots. And I think when it comes to cyber, the exact same thing. Like, we tend to want to run our business. We tend to want to do the things that we want to do, make our the check end of the business, make some money, make things happen, solve some problems, and leave. And man, we just forget sometimes some of the things that are happening around us until it's too late, right? So like, man, here it goes. I'm already like, woo, woo. So yeah, you know, that's why I think it's important for us to put some mechanics in place to stop us.
Mode.
Are you disabling this
No,
again?
no. She's
Already?
just taking us up higher.
Okay. Good. I like height.
Yeah.
You're gonna pull that kind of stunt on me?
It's cooler. It's like 95 degrees on the ground. It's only 83 here. I'm trying to get some cool air.
It is getting cooler, and that's nice.
Okay.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, I think we need some of that. I'm curious for you, like, what do you guys think are some of those, like, the autopilots of cybersecurity that we need to protect ourselves and remind ourselves? I think for me, one of those things is making sure you're surrounding yourself with some good folks, like good vendors that handle like 24/7 Overwatch for your networks is a good example of something that, you know, let's be honest, most MSPs don't have the time and capacity to be watching over everything for themselves and their clients. You got to outsource that component, right? But that can be that autopilot or early warning of, hey, we saw something a little strange. Can we take a look at this and investigate why this PowerShell behavior is happening or whatever, right? Same kind of thing.
Yeah, I think complacency definitely
Approaching
sets
altitude.
in with so many tools in use, right? Like, and look, I get it. In the old days, you could slap an antivirus on there, and you could kind of be hands off the wheel and just cruise along. But it's no longer like that. There's this continuous tuning that needs to occur. Configuration management is giant, and tools alone aren't going to get that done.
Yes.
It's part of the battle. Maybe it's 30% of the battle. You got to have the right tools, because if you're operating off the wrong tools, then
Autopilot.
you're not going to get there.
Mode.
You're not going to know where the warnings are. I mean, this plane is pretty well equipped, right? It would fly perfectly fine with a six-pack of a bunch of old-school analog gauges. But man, you just got so much more risk that way. You don't have the visibility. You don't have the automated warnings like this. I think the key is you can't let that automation, you can't let those tools allow you to be complacent. If I allow it to do this and just get to where it's autopilot everywhere and I'm just listening for the warnings, I'm not really checking things, put yourself in a dangerous situation. I think it's the same thing in cybersecurity. If you just let the tools sit out there, just install the defaults. My goodness, if you just set up an M365 environment, I see that time and time again to where M365 is just set up just to the defaults. Well, man, it is not tuned. It is not hardened. The same thing with these tools, with EDR. It is continuous tuning and learning and really dialing in and paying attention. It takes great people to do that. It takes a lot of focus. It takes help from the vendors. I think if your ego gets in the way, it can be a real danger in cybersecurity because there's not a lot of room for error. Nope. And you get IT companies that just aren't. They've been doing it a while. They're kind of tired. They're humble. They're not willing to change their ways. They're leading with their ego. And kind of like in flying, they say there are bold pilots and there are old pilots, but there are not bold old pilots.
Well, I'm going to say you were flying pretty bold just a minute ago, Keith.
All practice, the right equipment, the right maneuvers, lots of training.
Yeah.
No complacency involved. That's what's key.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I love what you said a minute ago too about ego, because I mean, ego slips in if we're not careful. You know, you're a wildly successful MSP owner, someone that MSPs everywhere look up to. Ego slips in for sure, no doubt. Same for anyone in our shoes, right? I've been successful in cyber, but that's been by fortunes that have been handed to me and some hard work. But if you let that ego slip in, guess what happens? What happens is you start to lose peers, you start to lose friends, you start to lose battle buddies. You start to think that you don't need other people's help. You don't need other people's wisdom. You don't need the insights from others around you because you got this. And that's where the poison slips in, right? That's
Autopilot mode.
That's where the danger comes in. So it's really well said. I hear this from MSPs all the time. Being a CPA means a license. Practicing law means that you're licensed and there's a pathway to it.
Yeah.
Becoming a doctor, I can't just call myself a doctor. There's a process and an approval, and I can be revoked from being a doctor. We don't have that at MSPs at all. I happen to think, and I think you would probably agree, it's not a great thing. We probably need some professional licensure. But I think we're still years and maybe we're a decade away, Keith, maybe more than that from getting there. What are your thoughts on that at a high level? Like, is that ever going to happen, and how do you think it might happen?
Yeah, great question. I think it will happen. Like you said, I think we're a ways out. I honestly think things like insurance are probably going to create that force, that pressure to follow standards and to sort of become self-regulated, because it's going to be a matter of whether, as an MSP, MSSP, you're going to be able to get cyber insurance and qualify for it. I think that we're seeing more and more clients that are pushing for that. Like, eventually we'll get to where you need your SOC 2 Type 2, or you need to have a certain framework in place, or you need to attest to something.
Approaching altitude.
We've certainly, self-regulated to an extent to say, we're going to use the EIS framework, and we're going to start with IG1 and internally adapt our controls to that. We built up, SOC 2 Type 2 really readiness, and of course on the, we use ITIL, IT infrastructure library, ITIL as a service management framework.
Yep.
So a lot of that has kind of been self-regulated, just because we see that process, we see those standards as really a good thing.
Yep.
In terms of being required, though, I think it's going to be up to things like insurance, and it's going to be up to the diligence of our clients.
Autopilot
for more sophisticated, more prepared clients that really demand that.
Yeah.
From us as MSPs.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also think, one thing about cyber that's pretty interesting, we've been saying since the 80s that there's a day coming when there will be a cataclysmic cyber event. To the equivalent of a big 100-year flood, Cat 5 hurricane, billions of dollars in damage. And that has not yet happened. While we do see billions of dollars a year in damages from cyber, just in the aggregate worldwide, we haven't seen the one cataclysmic event yet. And I think eventually it's going to happen. I hope to God it doesn't happen, but I think at some point it's going to happen. And that could be the moment where everything completely changes. Where we finally say, hey, enough is enough, and you start to see state and federal agencies finally get involved and say that this is going to change here. But we haven't. Isn't it shocking that we haven't seen that happen yet? From the insurance, I can tell you, having been in insurance for a year, that's the thing they're scared about. Is we're happy to write policies out and have some loss that's not good for us, and we've had more loss than we've wanted to, but we've avoided the cataclysmic event, and that's been good. But that day is going to come, and I think when that day comes, I think that's when everything shifts. Everything changes at that point. And I was talking to Brad Gross about this, an attorney. And he said the same thing. He goes, in order for us to have a licensure program in place, you have to have all states operating in motion, agreeing together that they're going to regulate or have a self-governing body. Just like the Bar Association in every state is a self-regulating organization. That requires every state to say, yes, we need that, we're going to enforce that by law, and then we're going to set up a self-regulating body. And we've not seen that yet. And I think we're going to have more externalities push us before we get to that stage. But I do think, like you said, in the next few years, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Are you seeing through those pressures to regulate, and at least self-regulate and have those standards in place? Do you think there's a separation that's occurring between MSPs around the larger, more security-forward MSPs and the ones that are sort of ignoring it, or are MSPs getting closer together and more generic and homogenous, or are they drifting apart?
That's a good question. Sometimes I wonder myself if I have confirmation bias in this, because the MSPs I find myself talking to usually are the really good ones, right? Or the ones that have grown significantly over the past few years. Because, like Cybercall we do every Monday. The only MSPs that join that and listen to it are the ones that are committed to becoming good at security. The ones that I talk to at security conferences are the ones that invested to come and learn. So sometimes, my gut reaction is, we're getting way better. And that gap between the laggards and the leaders is not only separating, but there's more that are coming to the leader side. But sometimes I wonder if that's not true. How many MSPs do I not talk to that are embarrassingly bad? And I don't know what you think around, your competition around Texas, but I've got to think because there's no barrier to entry, we probably do still have a lot of folks that
Autopilot mode
are getting into this that that don't have any controls in place, any standards in place, any care of duty that are in place.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's often difficult competition because, look, it's a cheaper option. And if we go back to that, prospect client is saying, well, I haven't spent this before, why do I got to do it now? Well, I've just shopped around and I found cheaper options.
Yeah.
It's short-lived.
Yeah, that's right. And I love seeing MSPs get to that point now where they're like, not all revenue is good revenue. And if you're committed, Miss Client, to literally save this kind of money by backing off on all these required controls, we're just not a fit for each other. And I'm more than happy to help you find someone else. I'm more than happy to help you find that transition. That's one of the best things that we can do. That's one of the best things that we can say. Because we are putting a standard in the ground. We're helping every other MSP out there that's like us by saying there is a minimum care of duty that exists. You guys, from your perspective, when you talk about that minimum set, that minimum care, is that different for every client for you, or do you have a hard-coded standard that you guys follow that no matter what, you have to have this documented level?
I think there are certain
Leaving
I think there are
altitude.
certain
That went
minimums. You know, but I think it does look different for different people just based on
Cheese.
regulations.
Cheese.
So I
Approaching
think it
altitude.
is different, and it depends on the industry that people are in as well. And it also just depends on the client, what data it is that they're
Leaving
protecting.
altitude. Cheese.
So, you know, it does matter.
I think you said words.
I said words. Admittedly, that's difficult for me to talk and do that at the same time as well. But it varies. There are minimum standards, and then there are levels of how much do you need. A lot of times that's insurance required, that's required by the clients. It's regulation that might push that into a higher implementation group with CIS as an example.
Yes. Yeah.
Feeling good?
I'm feeling.
You're feeling?
Woo! I think I saw that one coming though, because I saw you grab the stick.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go.
You might have.
Yeah, I know you're getting ready to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit of spin. I don't
This-
know.
Approaching
I feel like those are-
altitude.
Oh! What? No!
Cheese.
We are
Cheese.
going
Cheese.
to die.
How you feeling?
Cheese.
We gotta get turned
Cheese?
in the other
What
direction.
is cheese?
Cheese.
I think it's saying cheese.
Cheese. Cheese.
I don't know. You feel it on your
Cheese.
face a little bit?
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, that first flip you did about a minute ago, things got a little black.
Yeah. Maybe a little grayness.
Yeah.
You pulled a good 5 Gs. I mean,
Did I?
I didn't see you passing out. Just over, yeah. Wow, we did about 5.5 on that.
Wow. I felt it.